How do you think you will prove Johnny innocent?
With the evidence I have collected throughout the many days of this trial.
Was it okay for Johnny to be carrying an illegal switchblade? Explain.
Yes, because he was jumped by the brutal socias and he has a scar on his face that will last forever.
How do you feel about the drinking of underage teens getting into a fight?
They should be charged for underage drinking.
If you were on the other side of this trial, do you think you would be able to prove Johnny guilty?
No.
Did your defendant tell you the reason Bob and the other socias wanted to get in a fight? If so, explain.
They did not tell me the reason.
Many people think he is guilty. Explain your reasoning behind why you think he is innocent.
He is innocent because he needed to kill Bob in order for him to keep himself alive and his friend Ponyboy.
How long do you think it will take to show the innocence of Johnny to the jury?
50 minutes.
That is all.
All right, go ahead.
Do you fully believe Johnny is guilty? Explain.
I do believe Johnny is guilty because he shouldn't have killed Bob.
You were a spy for the Greases at one point, am I correct?
Yes.
Can you explain what that means?
When I was at the movie theater, I was spying on them and I just started talking to them and we just became friends.
Did you expect your boyfriend to do something to Ponyboy and Johnny for hanging out with you?
No, not really.
What time did you leave the drive-in?
I left the drive-in by the time it closed.
Do you really believe that Johnny should be charged and go to jail?
Yes.
Explain.
I do believe that Johnny should be charged and should go to jail because he should have called the cops instead of doing something that, like killing killing Bob.
Okay, that's all.
Guys, the Court of Appeals Heights is now in session. Your Honorable Richard Canfield presiding. Mason. Mr. Rizzo, what is today's case? Your Honor, today's case is the people of Illinois versus Johnny Cade. Is the prosecution ready?
Yes.
The defense ready?
Yes.
Prosecution, can you please give your opening statement?
Your Honor and fellow jury, we are here today examining the murder of Bob Sheldon and whether or not Johnny Cade is guilty of manslaughter in the second degree. Bob's family is very upset and is looking for answers. My fellow prosecution lawyers and I believe that Johnny Cade is without doubt guilty and should be sentenced to a lifetime in prison. We believe this because he was carrying an illegal switchblade and had no reason to use it on Bob. Even if he had been provoked, Johnny still didn't need to murder Bob. Bob had been a good, if not adventurous, young man who shouldn't have been murdered at such a young age. However, because Johnny had been in possession of an illegal switchblade, Bob lost his innocent life at the age of 16. Johnny Cade should not be allowed to cause any further loss of life with a switchblade or any other type of weaponry. In honor of the family and friends of Bob Sheldon, when we win, Johnny Cade will never be allowed to see the sky from outside of his prison cell for the rest of his life because he is a murderer.
Defense, can you please give your opening statement?
Good morning, Your Honorable Richard, men and women of the court, and men and women of the jury. We are here today to prove the innocence of our client, Johnny Cade, who is being accused of manslaughter in the second degree. Johnny Cade has a horrific background with the ruthless socias. The gang has brutally jumped our client, leaving him scared of every sound in every single dark alley. If Johnny Cade wouldn't have killed Bob that night, then he and Ponyboy Curtis would be dead. Johnny's switchblade was only used in self-defense. Maybe if Bob was not drinking when he was under the age that night, he'd still be here. With all that was just refuted, may we please call Ponyboy Curtis to the stand.
You may. Can the witness please be sworn in by the bailiff?
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear?
One second, I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt. So in this case,
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear that the evidence you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
I do. Please be seated.
Will you please read your testimony?
Johnny and I were at the movies with some socialites, and when the movie was over, we started walking with them, and then we saw a blue Mustang. Johnny and I went to the lot to chill for a little, and we fell asleep on accident. When we woke up, we saw that it was 2 in the morning. I went home. Johnny stayed at the lot. Daddy slapped me, so I ran away to get Johnny. We went to the park and we saw that the blue Mustang was following us. When they got out of the car, we saw that they were drunk. They started chasing after us and they caught me at the fountain. And then they started drowning me. They were beating Johnny up and Johnny came to stab Bob to get him off me. He saved my life.
Please explain your past with the social.
My past with the socials is getting beat up and always having to have my friends with me to save me.
Were there any complications in your love life or home experiences?
My home experiences is my family leaving me dying at a young age.
Okay. Who were you in contact with that night who was under the influence?
Bob and Randy,
Why did you run away to Hendrickson?
because Johnny killed Bob and we both were scared that the socials were gonna come after us.
Why did you take a train to Hendrickson?
It was the fastest way.
When you were drowning, do you remember if Johnny was being attacked?
When Johnny was being attacked by Johnny because it took him a while for him to come and save me.
No further questions.
The prosecution like to cross-examine the witness if needed.
Yes.
There we go.
How close were you and Johnny? Pretty close. Do you think not too much of it because it was a soch? No, not really. Do you think that it was necessary that he had to kill Bob? It could have been, but it also could not have. How did you react when you noticed that Johnny had stabbed Bob? I was happy and sad because he saved my life, but he killed someone. If you were in the socialist position, how would you feel? Pretty sad. Would you think that Johnny should be in prison? No. No quick questions. You may step down.
All right.
Who's next? May the witness please be sworn in by the bailiff?
Do you swear that the evidence you are about to receive is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
I do. Please be seated.
Can you please read your testimony?
I was at a drive-in movie with my friend Marcia, and I was also there with Bob. I saw Pony and Johnny, and we started to talk. Dahlia was talking to me, and I got really annoyed, so I spilled a Coke on him. Randy told me that Johnny killed my boyfriend, and I was really upset. I acquired this knowledge from Randy. He told me everything that has happened about him.
What is your name and age?
My name is Cherry Balance, and I'm 16 years old.
Can you tell me what your relationship with Bob the Soch was?
I was his girlfriend. He was my boyfriend.
How serious was your relationship?
Mine and Bob's relationship was really serious because we both had feelings for each other.
What was the side of Bob that you saw and he did not show to the police?
Bob was really nice and loving to me.
Do you feel that Bob Sheldon is innocent?
Yes, I do feel that Bob is innocent because Johnny shouldn't have killed him.
That's all I have.
Would the defense like to cross-examine the witness?
Yes.
Did you know that Bob was under the influence of drinking?
Yes, I did know.
And also, did you specifically quote, Bob was drunk and was looking for a fight?
Yes.
Did you know that Ponyboy Curtis was related to Soda Pop Curtis?
Yes.
If you did, then did you know they were greasers?
Yes.
And if greasers never hang out with socialites, then why would you hang out with them?
Because I was spying on them.
No further questions.
You may step down.
The defense would like to call Soda Pop Curtis to the stand.
May the witness please be sworn in by the bailiff.
Do you swear that the evidence you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Can you start off with reading us your testimony?
Yes. My name is Soda Pop Curtis, and I'm friends with Johnny King, and I am 16 years old. I work at a DX station. I am a high school dropout. I do not drink, and I am best friends with Steve Randall. Both of my parents died in a car accident. I was present during the fight of Derry and Ponyboy. And then, fight led to Ponyboy and Johnny being present in the park of the night of the murder. I and Johnny are close friends, and I know that he doesn't look for fights with the socialites. Therefore, I think Johnny Cage should be innocent.
Did you drop out of school to help support your loving family after the death of your parents?
Yes, because I care for my family and I want Ponyboy to get a good education.
Do the greasers have a terrifying past with the brutal gang known as the socialites?
Yes, each group does have a violent past with each other, but the Soch have violently attacked us, forced us to do things that we are not proud of.
Can you explain to the court what the brutal rumble was over?
The rumble was over territory. We have fought in the rumble because we want them out of our territory because we get jumped.
Did you have any contact with Dallas after he gave Ponyboy and Johnny money to run away to Hendricksville?
Yeah, I had contact because I was worried about my little brother Ponyboy.
Were Johnny and you close friends?
Yes, we are good friends because we all try to protect each other because we're all greasers.
No further questions.
Prosecution may cross-examine the witness if needed.
Mr. Soda, is drinking common among greasers?
No, but some of my friends do it.
If Bob Sheldon was a greaser, would it be normal to be drunk?
Not really.
Do greasers commonly carry switchblades around for protection?
Pretty much.
So you generally carry around a switchblade for protection?
No.
Do most greasers carry switchblades for protection in case of a fight?
Yeah, usually.
Considering the fact that Johnny is a greaser, would you say that it is likely he was carrying a switchblade for protection? After all, he is a greaser.
Yes, because he has been jumped before.
No further questions.
You may step down.
We would like to call Randy to the stand.
Very well. Please be sworn by the bailiff, Randy.
Do you swear that the evidence you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please proceed.
Please state your testimony.
I'm Randy Anderson and I'm 17 years old. I am part of a group called the Socias. My best friend is Bob Sheldon, who is also a Soch and a leader to me. My girlfriend is Marcia and Bob's girlfriend is Cherry, but Cherry and I are very alike. On the night of July 1st, 1966, me and the Socias were drinking. We drank a little too much and we got drunk. We pulled up to people that looked like greasers. They were greasers. They were Johnny Cade and Ponyboy Curtis. We were picking up Ponyboy by dumping his head underwater. While we were doing that, the other greasers stabbed my best friend. Luckily, we ran away so he didn't get killed. He manslaughtered my best friend. If we didn't run away, he might have killed us too. That week, me and the other Socias were mad and sad. I was especially mad because that was my best friend. I went to Ponyboy's house to see how he was. When we were talking, we realized that the socials and greasers both see sunsets from the same side.
What is your name and age?
My name is Randy Anderson, and I'm 17 years old.
How close were you and Bob?
Bob and I were very close. We were also best friends. I followed him everywhere he went.
How much do you miss Bob? Please explain.
I miss Bob a lot because he was a leader and my best friend.
Do you think it was wrong of Ponyboy and Johnny to hang out with your girlfriend Marcia and also Cherry?
Yes, I do think it's wrong to hang out with our girlfriends because that is just the wrong thing to do. The greasers might have stolen our girlfriends.
Do you think Johnny should be carrying an illegal switchblade with him?
Johnny Cage should not be carrying an illegal switchblade with him because it is illegal. It is also against the law to carry a deadly weapon.
Objection. Calling for conclusion.
Objection is sustained.
So you can't ask that question or answer.
No further questions.
The defense would like to question Randy Anderson.
Was it necessary for Johnny to retaliate against Bob?
Please state the question again, please.
Was it necessary for Johnny to retaliate against Bob?
It wasn't necessary.
Were you and your social life friends drunk when you were beating on Johnny and Ponyboy?
Yes, we were.
Is it correct that Bob, three other socials, and you were looking for a fight on the night of Bob's death?
Yes.
Was it injustice for Johnny to kill Bob?
No.
Were Bob and you close friends?
Yes.
No further questions.
You may step down.
Hans, isn't it your turn to call?
May we please call Johnny K to the stand?
Very well. Johnny, be sworn in by the oath.
Do you promise that the evidence you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Please read your testimony.
I am Johnny Cade, and I am 16 years old, and I am in high school. On March 1st, 1966, I was mugged brutally by Bob, Randy, and 3 other socials. That jump had scared me so bad that now I have to carry a 6-inch switch with me everywhere I go, just in case they would ever jump me again. I never walk alone at night. Most greasers can't even walk alone because they would get jumped by the socials. On the night of June 30th, 1968, I went to the drive-in with Ponyboy, Dally, and 2-Bit. There we met Cherry and her friend Marcia. We were talking to them and Dally began to harass the girls. Pony and I stood in their defense until Dally had left. When the movie ended, we decided to go to 2-Bit's house and get his car so we can drive the girls home. All of a sudden, a blue Mustang pulled up beside us. When Bob and Randy, 2 of the socials, got out of their car, I noticed Bob's rings, the ones that had injured me when I was mugged. I was so frightened that I froze as they approached us. Bob and Randy were upset because their girlfriends were walking with us. They were demanding the girls get into their car while they continued to be under the influence of alcohol. The socials then challenged us to a fight. 2-Bit handed a broken bottle to Ponyboy, and 2-Bit pulled out a switch. The girls agreed to accompany the socials to avoid further trouble. I was quiet because I feared that I was going to get beaten again. At 11 o'clock p.m., I was laying in the lot talking to Ponyboy, and we both fell asleep. I woke up and I informed Pony that it was 2 o'clock a.m. Pony was 2 hours over his curfew. I don't have a curfew because my parents don't care about me enough to give me one. Pony rushed home, but I stayed there because I didn't want to return to my dysfunctional home. Pony returned to the lot at approximately 2:15 a.m. after getting into an argument with Derry, his oldest brother. Derry hit Pony out of anger, so Pony came back to wake me up because I had fallen asleep again. Pony wanted to run away, so we ran to the park and arrived there at 2:30 a.m. on July 1st. Pony and I were catching our breath when the blue Mustang pulled up. Bob, Randy, and 3 other socials got out of their car. I spotted Bob's rings and became nervous again. Bob began to taunt us, so we carefully warned him, saying that he's not in his turf. Bob and his friends are still under the influence of alcohol at this time. When Pony responds to the socials, they attack him. Bob and one social were holding Ponyboy's head underwater in the fountain. I remembered that I had the switchblade, so I held that in my hand. When I saw that Pony was going to drown, I realized that I must stop Bob from holding him underwater. There were still 3 socias standing beside Bob at this time. I knew that I would be unsuccessful fighting off the socias because of my small size. I realized that one soc had a blade and that they were about to beat me up. My only option was to stab Bob to save Pony's life. When I stabbed Bob, all of the socias ran. I told Ponyboy everything, but I wasn't moving because I was in shock. After all of this happened, we went to Dally for help. We explained to Dally what had happened, and he gave us money and clothes. He told us to go to Windricksville. We arrived at the church that Dally told us to go to. After 5 days, Dally came to find us. We started to talk to Dally, and we decided to turn ourselves in. Then I asked Dally if my parents had asked about me while we were gone. Dally said that they didn't. Dally asked us why we didn't turn ourselves in the first place, and we had realized that we were frightened and didn't know what to do, so we went to Dally.
What were you doing before you got to the lot?
I was at the drive-in with Cherry, Marcia, Ponyboy, Dally, and Tulip. We also hung out after when we were walking the girls home.
What were your past experiences with the socialites?
I have been jumped by the socias in a field where we play football, and I was left there alone to die.
Were you scared for your life when your hopeless friend, Ponyboy Curtis, was being drowned by some of the socialites?
Yes, I was scared because I didn't want me or my best friend to die.
What tempted you to save children from a burning church?
I didn't want those innocent children to die.
Was it embarrassing for you to walk around with a scar from your temple to your cheekbone?
Objection. It is irrelevant whether she was embarrassed or not.
Do you have any other questions?
No further questions.
Would the prosecution like to cross-examine Johnny?
Yes, Your Honor. Why were you carrying an illegal switchblade?
I was carrying it because the socias had brutally beat me.
Is getting beaten up a really legitimate reason to carry an illegal switchblade?
Yes, because when the socias beat me, I was about to die.
Do you think you had the right to kill Bob?
Yes, because he was going to kill me and Ponyboy.
If you were Bob, do you think that you would deserve to be stabbed to death by greasers?
Objection. Calling for conclusion.
Objection, sustained.
Can you rephrase that question?
If you could go back in time, would you kill Bob the Soch again?
No.
So, you admit that what you did was wrong?
Objection. Leading the witness.
Sustained.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Can you please give your closing statement?
Yes. Your Honorable Richard, men and women of the court, and men and women of the jury, I hope through our witnesses you can tell that our client, Johnny Cade, is innocent of manslaughter in the second degree. Throughout the hearing, the witnesses have explained to the people why they believe or disbelieve that Johnny Cade is innocent. We hope that you are able to tell that Johnny Cade had no other choice but to kill Bob, because if he didn't, both Ponyboy and Johnny would be dead. It is quite clear that the innocent greasers were treated viciously by the socialites. Why wouldn't you make the greasers feel safe by showing them that this courtroom can stand up to people as a higher class? Does having money give one the right to break the law and hurt innocent people? Should we continue to make the people of the lower class suffer because you won't stand up for what is right? The choice is yours. I hope you make the right one. Thanks.
Prosecution, can you please give your closing statement?
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, we have just examined the case of the people versus Johnny Cade. We, the prosecution in this case, believe that Johnny Cade is guilty because of the evidence that we brought up during this case. Johnny Cade had obviously been carrying a switchblade. Unless he had personally been provoked by the socials on July 1st, there is no realistic reason to carry the switchblade. We also know, as Johnny Cade said in her testimony, that there had been a fight before the fight where Bob got killed. And in this fight, weapons were drawn, many weapons, which shows that the greasers have a violent tendency, which came out during the fight where Bob Sheldon got killed. My associates and I know that Johnny Cade is without a doubt guilty, and I hope that after some consideration, you will come to see this too. I would like to thank you all for your time and patience, and I hope you agree that no further life should be lost at the hand of Johnny Cade.
We've now heard from both sides. It's the jury's job to decide whether the defendant is guilty of manslaughter. Please go with the bailiff to the jury room, and after you have decided, come back and inform the court of your decision.
All rise. The court is now in recess.